Okay, so this is Josh, Josh Carnes. We met in high school, and I think it was through our friend Dustin. We actually, before the podcast started, we talked about it, and we couldn't figure out when exactly we met. But
I don't remember.
It's probably just like sometime late high school.
But I also don't remember like meeting Dustin, or I don't remember the first time I met any of y'all, like any of our friends. So. Like, I just remember that we've just been friends forever.
Yeah, we've been friends for a
That's
long
the
time.
truth.
And, like, life has changed 10 or 15 times since we met, so
Yeah.
it gets harder and harder to remember the origin every time. But anyway, so I picked Josh to be on the podcast today because he's interesting. He does, like, a lot of different things that I think are unique and maybe some people wish they could do them but don't do them because it's scary. And I thought it'd be cool to have him talk about just whatever, have a conversation with him. So, Josh, what do you do?
I'm a musician.
So
That's about it.
Josh is a musician, and I know this already. He lives in a fifth wheel, which is like, it was actually like a dream of mine that I wanted to do too.
Not right now, I don't.
Oh, no?
Yeah, the trailer's decommissioned. And it's being used for storage. But it was fun while it lasted. I just live in the house now.
It's just too hot?
But yeah, the AC went out.
That sucks.
So, it was not meant to be full-timed in,
So Josh was basically like living in his fifth wheel, and also it was his music studio and just like making music. And you didn't make money on your music ever,
but
did
I
you?
never have, no.
Yeah.
Still haven't. Maybe eventually. We'll see what happens. But.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I think all good artists start that way, right? They don't make any money.
I don't really care. I'm not doing it for money.
But the thing that makes that super interesting is that Josh just like decided that he was going to quit his job and like do what he wanted to do. And that's what everyone wants to do, but we're all afraid to because we're like me, and we build these lives that require us to spend money constantly, and we convince ourselves that without those things we won't be okay. So like I decided to, well, I'm a lucky case. I work with computers, and that's like what I love, but I think most people don't get to do what they love for a living.
Yeah, your story is more of a success story than mine, just because you're actually making it in your career and it's something you love doing. I haven't made it or anything yet, but I did something that most people wouldn't do, which is quit my promising job.
I mean, the only reason that my career is like, or my life is a success at all is because I was born like exactly when I was born in the timeline of like humanity. Like, I work with computers and I'm a nerd, and at just about every other time in like human existence, I would have been made fun of and beaten up, and I just happened to have been born when like computers got popular.
I guess that's true. Yeah, and you also, well, you had like your eyes set on doing what you're doing now, and you just kept at it.
Yeah,
it's a little different. That's good.
It's commitment.
Yeah, it's something I don't know what it feels like to have.
You do
the ability to commit.
Do you not want to commit to things, or is it that you have a feeling when you start to commit to things?
Yeah, I think it's probably rooted in like laziness or something. I don't know, but I don't like to make commitments because then I have an obligation.
It's like a commitment is not just a commitment to doing something, but a commitment to compromising yourself. Is that?
Yeah, it's like every time I make a commitment, I have to do that instead of what I want to do. And that's not a healthy way to live. Like that's not a healthy way to do things.
Okay, so it isn't a healthy way to. That's another thing that I think Josh is super cool for. He's like extremely self-aware. Like few people you will ever meet are as self-aware as Josh is. So
Yeah,
like,
I guess that's true.
if you can say something critical of Josh right to his face, and it's like, if it's true, he'll admit it and be like, well, yeah, of course. But if it's not true, he'll tell you like, you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's always been that way. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah, I do have a certain self-awareness that I think that differentiates me from average people.
Kind
And
of
I
always have, right?
And I kind of forget that I'm different in that, like, so I always kind of project and be like, why aren't people aware of how they're acting? And it's like, oh, because not everybody's fully self-aware. It's not, I don't know. It's
Yeah. That goes back to, so before the podcast, we were also talking about, if you go into a Walmart or like a big grocery store, and also interestingly, I'd say that the dynamics and like the demographics in any grocery store are totally different. But anyway, if you go into like a Walmart, you look around at all the people in there, then it's like they lack self-awareness, and they're just kind of like stumbling through the store and being NPCs. That's what I called them, but like,
yeah, I don't know if it's a lack of, I don't know, a lack of intelligence or lack of self-awareness. I don't know what it is, but it really puts into perspective whenever you think like, oh, they're brainwashing everybody, they're controlling everybody. Well, when everybody's mostly kind of dumb, it's like, oh, okay. Like, as somebody that's self-aware, and maybe, I don't know if I'm above average, I guess I'm above average intelligence, but like, as somebody like that, like, it's, I don't know, it's just difficult to see whenever you can see right through all that.
That's another thing that I've always like wanted to probe you about, but I could never like figure out how. It's like, how do you come to the conclusions that so Josh has like a lot of, I don't want to say like extreme opinions, but like they're like they're just adjacent to what mainstream opinions are. Like, I don't even really consume news media from any source. I have opinions on things, but I don't like the news. It's depressing, and I feel manipulated every time I watch it.
Because you are, yeah.
But Josh comes up with different, or maybe he doesn't come up with, but he has these, like, he always has these ideas that are just totally different than what the news is telling us is happening. And yet he's still forming opinions on current events. And I'm like, how do you come up with these ideas that you come up with on various things?
Yeah, it was mostly just me and my brother brainstorming, and kind of, I struggle with it because I'm like, on the one hand, what do they call it? Like the armchair expert or whatever. People sitting at their computers and thinking they're an expert just because they can Google stuff. But on the other hand, it's like not. So I found out recently, like Michael Mills, my dad's friend, he wasn't aware that AI has gotten to where it is, like all these art AI things that are popping up. He wasn't even aware that AI can create art, and it almost looks like, I mean, a lot of it looks like somebody made it.
One of my friends got access to DALL-E today. Have you seen DALL-E?
Yeah, DALL-E. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, one of my friends got access to it. So for like the first half of the day, I was like feeding him different things to tell DALL-E.
Yeah.
And I learned that it's not free, by the way. It's like every time you generate something with DALL-E, it costs money. So like you can get like 150 credits for $15 or something like that, which isn't that bad, but like
I didn't know that.
It's easy to sit there and just think of new things to generate all day.
Well, it's just interesting because he wasn't even aware. Like, he's not somebody that uses the computer much. He's Gen X, and he's not even aware that AI has gotten as far as it. He didn't even know that you could type in something and get a picture. Like, that whole concept was new to him. So like that, I used stuff like that as a gauge for what most people are aware of. Most people aren't even aware that technology has gotten to where it is, and things like that. Like, we're so deep into it because we grew up on the internet,
right. Like,
but most people didn't, and a lot of people even in our generation still call themselves computer illiterate.
The other day I got an automated like Wi-Fi watering thing for my water hose, where I can like tell Google to make it start or whatever, and like I told my mom about it, and she was like mind blown.
Yeah.
And she was like, it keeps track of the weather. I'm like, what?
It's like, it's not even that.
Yeah, it's just like common sense these days among anyone under the age of 35, maybe.
Yeah.
That, like, technology is crazy, and sci-fi isn't really fi anymore. It's just
I don't know. Sci-fi's gotten.
well, sci-fi is now just it's like expanding thought on like things that are already occurring.
Yeah.
And I think that's totally off. Well, there's not really a topic here. So my podcast is called Anything with Chris Smith, and
Oh, that's the name.
that's
of
what I went with because
Okay.
nobody took it.
Well, yeah, I saw you had a different name on the.
Yeah.
It's like what was it? Purposely or I can't remember what you called it.
Yeah, I can't even remember. I came up with a name,
on
and then
YouTube.
I found out like 6 hours later that it was taken, and I
Mhm.
was like, oh well,
That's typically how it goes.
yeah. So I gave it the name Anything, and then I said with Chris Smith, and it's like I'm Chris Smith, and it's like you would think that would make my channel unique, but I still had to kind of second guess it, because there are usually more than one Chris Smiths in any search engine that I participate in.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's got to be a pretty common name.
But anyway, what I was gonna say is sci-fi has gone downhill in my opinion, because they don't have enough like fiction to come up with, and so like they start injecting these political messages that are like,
Yeah, I know.
it's like this is why society is screwed up, or like this is why you're doing the wrong thing with your life, and
So everything does that now. Everything has to inject their message, and it's like, it's just like exhausting.
it doesn't make any sense. It's like, especially just like every part of the entertainment industry, you would think that there would be a little bit of self-awareness there, and they would understand that when we're watching a movie, we're trying to escape from just this stuff, all these expectations and all these judgments and all that. Like it, you would think that the entertainment industry would be like, oh, well, they're looking for something a little more fantasy than that. Nope. They just want to like bring you back in, slap you in the face.
No, you got to think about like who's funding the movies. They're the ones that are going to want to get their message in there. A lot of movies nowadays are all funneling out of Disney, and Disney is probably one of the most evil companies to have ever existed.
What? So yes, I can see that because I can feel that Disney is evil. But what do they even do? Like I don't even know. I just know that Disney was run by Walt Disney, and he was a Nazi, and like all that good stuff. Bad
I don't know. I don't know enough to be able to like. All I know is that when anything's pushed that hard, like the movies and stuff pushed onto children and stuff like that, there's no way it's good, in my opinion. Like especially when it's pushed by like people that are just trying to make a lot of money.
Right.
But I don't even know if that's their goal. Like what if money isn't their goal? Because why would that be? They got more money than, I mean, they got enough money that would last so many lifetimes.
Right. And then I think at a certain point, they're probably like sitting up in their mansions, and when they see that society is starting to trend in the direction that they wanted it to based on like the movie they made or like whatever, they probably get so giddy. That's like their little victory because they already have all the money.
Well, they knew it would work because they've been studying this stuff for a long time.
It's kind of
They're all a part of the same. I mean, look, if you really want to get into conspiracies, it's.
I do. That's the whole point. I want to talk about conspiracy. I want you to like share.
It's the Freemasons.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So we briefly touched on this earlier.
And this is the kind of stuff you start talking about, and people will immediately be like, "That guy's crazy. That guy's schizo or something like that." And it's like, okay, well.
I mean, that's the whole point, though. Like
maybe
they can say that.
Yeah.
But I'm not him.
That's true. Yes.
So,
he's not. His opinions aren't mine. That's
right.
true.
So like
I'm
very
one.
curious. Like I'm just open-minded. I have opinions on things, like I said, but I try not to participate in too many current events because it ends up making me unhappy. So like I want to know what your thoughts are on things, and like you said, Freemasons.
I mean, one thing is with the Freemasons is if you look at them, Well, if you do enough research on them, you know that they don't speak with just, they don't sit and talk like we do right now. They're not like, they don't have like a meeting where they all sit down and like all the top members sit down and discuss things with each other. If they ever do that, then I don't know. I can't think of an example.
People are not participating, like Freemason.
No, the way that they communicate is through symbolism and through it very esoterically. So like you'll like in a movie something will happen, and then like
somebody high up in the Freemasons will be like, "Oh, it's been said."
Yeah, like there's the message. They'll see the message.
Oh, okay. So now I know why you said Freemasons, and then you said like QAnon and all that crap.
Yeah, well, that stuff's, the QAnon stuff's more of a like Donald Trump's campaign, and that was all engineered for sure,
Right.
100%.
But maybe it took some influence from the Freemason success.
Donald Trump's probably a Freemason.
Hmm.
It was probably all the Freemasons.
And do they not like announce it if they're a Freemason?
No, you don't.
So it's like a secret society.
I
don't know any. I know like a couple people who have been Freemasons, but they said that they were. So
you can like if you're a Freemason, you can tell people, but like I think there's just like with any cult or religious group, there's the lower rungs where you're in it and you're like, oh, it's just an old man frat. But then as you get higher up into the like Scientology and stuff like that, like as you get higher up, they give you more secrets and they give you more responsibilities until eventually it's like you're part of a cult.
Right.
But the guys at the very top, I mean, it's like it's all the royal families from long ago or whatever, Rothschilds or Rockefellers, all of them. I mean, they actually might even be a part of like a cabal or something that's against the Freemasons. I don't know. There's all kinds of theories. If anything, it's just fun to
speculate because
speculate
like, what
on
else
the
are
shit.
we doing?
What I was going to say earlier about music, though, that I think is interesting and that I just learned very recently is that back in the like 1930s, John D. Rockefeller, he basically funded the way that like the current musical scale that we use. He standardized it. He funded the standardization of the musical scale that we use. So before the 30s, music was way more like fluid and like you just kind of like you weren't writing like in the scale of C major and stuff like that. It was just like kind of
like jazz.
No, it was like classical music, right?
Oh yeah.
And so then all of a sudden it got standardized and now we have like pop and jazz and stuff like that, but like it's played on the scales. I just thought that was interesting. I don't know what it means. Maybe music is hypnotizing us and putting us in a state that it makes us more suggestive. It could be doing that. We don't know. But the fact that he has his skeletal grubby fingers in that makes me just, I'm like, wow, like everything we know is a lie.
Like why would someone with his power? Well, maybe he just liked music, you know.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean that's always a possibility. One thing that I learned recently about music that I thought was like pretty cool is like freestyling, you know, like freestyle rapping.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that freestyle rapping was when they just like came up with the lyrics off the dome and like they had the beat and they just like made up a rap and did it right there. But I actually learned that freestyle rapping technically is just it can be pre-written, but it's a rap done to like any beat.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the beat is, doesn't matter what the tempo is.
Mm-hmm.
You're just fed this tempo and you work your lyrics into the tempo.
Yeah, you work it into the new flow. It's like fixing adjusting your flow.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. I was like, because I used to like watch YouTube videos of people doing freestyle raps and I'd be like, that's so obviously pre-written.
Yeah. But like whenever people actually do it off the dome, it always sucks.
No, dude. There's this guy. What's his name? Harry Mack. Is that his name?
I don't know.
I'll show you him later. Soon, one day we'll be freaking Joe Rogan or something. We'll have
pull that up.
Hey, pull that up. But yeah, dude, I'll show you some videos later. He's like, he goes into crowds. I think he lives in LA, but he'll go into crowds. He also streams on Twitch too, but he'll go into crowds at the beach and stuff. And then he'll he'll go out there with his cameras and stuff, and then like a crowd will build around him, and he'll just like he'll tell people to volunteer randomly, and like some people will raise their hand or whatever, and then they'll come forward, and then he raps, and he has each of them pick out a word beforehand or a phrase or something, and then he'll work that phrase or word into his freestyle, and then also comment on their clothing or like whatever, their hairstyle, like whatever they are. Yeah, I don't know, he's incredibly talented. I think that's his name. I mean, it's not like
Yeah, I guess that's kind of cool. I mean, it's almost like crowd work.
Yeah, no, it's insane, dude. I gotta show you for sure. So what would you say is like your craziest or most off the wall idea about where things are going or why they're going the direction they are?
Most off the wall?
Yeah.
I mean, if we really want to get into like Luciferian cults and
okay, let's talk about Lucifer.
Okay, well that's
all of my 6 subscribers. He's one of them.
Yeah, I am one of them. Yeah, I need to use the restroom again though, real quick. If that's
okay. Yeah, dude, we can pause.
Just real quick, because that's one thing coffee does to me.
All right, let's talk about Lucifer.
So Luciferian. So and none of this is like stuff I came up with. Me and Ian discovered this girl. Her name's probably Alexandra on YouTube, and she talks about all of this stuff. But basically, the way things are set up in the political world is you have the light side and the dark side. And I know it sounds like Star Wars. Like, actually, yeah, just like that. And that's part of like.
Yeah, the bipartisan system is stupid for that reason.
So, but the whole thing with the light side, dark side is. And if you look at Lucifer, it's the dark times take over, right? That we're going through the dark times, so that the light times can come over and act like some kind of savior. The light side comes over and saves everyone from the despair, and it's a false prophet, right? Because there's only one. If you believe in like Lucifer and stuff like that, then you believe there's only one true prophet, and that's Jesus. And so then it gets into like Bible stuff. And I'm not going to go into all that, but that's where she goes. She'll get more into that stuff and, choose to believe it or not. But regardless, they believe it, and that's all that really matters, is that the people running the show believe in this stuff. And so
like politicians at the top, is that what?
Yeah, it's all
they believe in like Lucifer, they believe in the dark side, and then they believe in like the coming light side or something.
Yeah, and they believe that. Well, and it's all like it's all part of the whole ritual.
So is your theory just that like we're in the dark part right now, entering the light part?
I think that's the theory, the prevailing theory. I'd say that's because you got to think of it from a Christian perspective. From a Christian perspective, Trump would be the light side, right?
But why?
Because he caters to those people, right? The conservatives.
Yeah, sure.
Because like what's more evil to Christians than a bunch of trannies?
Yeah, have you seen
around?
that weird like Jesus style like Trump being crucified art and stuff like that? It's like It's weird, man. It's like strange how people seem to worship Trump.
Yeah.
Post presidency, even it's just like weird, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of creepy.
He's a false prophet. But he really is. I mean, people are actually.
So are you theorizing that like it's the coming of the light side, but like not really? Like it's.
Yeah, it's a false prophet, right?
Okay, so like he's saying he's the savior, but really he's the bad guy. He's like
the
dark side.
It's still bad. I mean, we're still going to be dealing with like totalitarianism and people completely controlling everything that you watch, eat, and do without you realizing it.
So nothing changes.
Nothing will actually change.
Regardless,
the one thing that they will do that will really make people happy is wipe free debt. That's one thing that I do believe is going to happen within the next 2 years. Is that all debt is just going to be cleaned. We're going to switch over to a digital currency, and it's going to be the new normal, the great reset. Everybody's been talking about it.
I don't know though, man. I don't think that they're gonna reset debt if they switch us over to a digital currency. I think that
they're gonna have to.
It's like my student loans we're just sold.
We're not going to have the same. There's not going to be a Fed. The banks aren't going to. I mean, everything's going to change.
Yeah. So the Fed will sell your debt, or the banks will sell your debt to whoever. It'll just be like musical chairs with debt. There will be a loser, but
maybe they'll do that. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I do believe that they're gonna come and relieve us of our debt.
My little theory, and like I said, I try not to stay in touch with current events, but I still see them because how can you not? Like, I've got a Google phone, and it just feeds me articles all day and knows that I'm going to read them because I'm a clickbait.
I'd turn that shit off.
Yeah, I should. Well, anyway, so this like inflation bill that just passed, I don't think that that's going to fix inflation at all.
Yeah, I actually don't know about that.
Yeah, there's this. It started out as like $1.7 trillion bill that Biden was trying to push through, and then over the course of a few months, it got whittled down to like 1.3, 1.4 trillion, and still a ton of money. And they're like, yeah, you won't see any changes to inflation in the first few years that it's out, and then some senators and some of the people who voted on it were asked about it, and they were like, well, what's this going to do for the regular average middle class people, people like me or people like you?
Yeah.
And is it going to negatively impact us? And every single quote that I read in response to that question was like, oh, it's really hard to explain the depth of this bill to the average person and like the middle class, but I promise it does good things. And it's like, that's not very convincing to me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I was like, I read that and I was like, so we're screwed, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
And then like, there's is this just in Texas? The whole increase in our phone bill by like 20% or whatever.
Oh, I didn't know about that either.
Yeah. FTC was supposed to pay certain, I don't know, there was something going on where cell phone companies were supposed to be paying cities in Texas to use their telecommunications infrastructure, and then they weren't doing it. And so the final settlement came out and I might be totally wrong about this, but I'm not wrong about the increase in our payment, but the final settlement was that they would start paying for it, and they're going to end up passing those costs onto us, like the consumers. And so there's this fee on our phone bill for usage, and it's going to go from 3% all the way up to like 24%.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah.
Like cell phone bills?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'll just cancel I just won't use a cell phone. I don't give a shit.
And see, that's Josh is what the internet would call based. He just does what he needs to. He's like, well, I don't like this. I'm just gonna. It's like that's another thing. We were talking about grocery stores, and I was like, we both hate Walmart and hate shopping there, and I don't know anyone who's like, I love shopping at Walmart.
Mm-mm.
But I still do it. I do the grocery pickup because I think it's a better option, but I also recognize that Walmart is a massive corporation and they destroy smaller companies that try to pop up. Like, I witnessed it in my grandma's town. She lived in a town in Arkansas of like 5,000 people, and there were these mom and pop shops all over the place, and then they opened up one Walmart and all the mom and pop shops closed down. So now there's a Walmart and a Taco Bell and KFC combo and a Pizza Hut.
Yeah,
I think in the town.
It's pretty messed up.
Yeah,
because it's like then you don't have an option. Like the only grocery store within miles is a Walmart, and all they sell are foods that have poison in them.
Yep, she only had that within an hour and a half.
You can't get proper nutrition. Like, so me and my dad, we started taking like vitamins and stuff. Like, you have to now. You have to take vitamins because you just can't get the proper unless you spend a lot of money at like going to like farmers markets.
Right, farmers markets, Whole Foods.
But like, who's gonna do that? Like, you can if you can afford it, but like.
But even if you can afford it, it's stupid to do it when you can.
Well, it's not. It's smart to do it, but it's just like, we're also just lazy, and it's easier just to take vitamins.
I read this stat the other day that was like 100 years ago, a good portion of society in America got like at least 30% of their diet from their home gardens, and now it's like 0.2% or something.
Oh, people used to actually have.
Yeah, they had home garden, and now it's like 0.2 or 0.02% of people or families have a home garden that they get like a decent amount of groceries from.
Yeah, our neighbor will give us tomatoes sometimes, and then our other neighbor has like chickens, which we were actually thinking about getting chickens.
You can do it.
That's not really a garden, I guess.
In Fort Worth, you can have like a surprising amount of farm animals.
Oh yeah,
I could get a goat in that tiny backyard.
I don't know if you'd want a goat.
I don't want one. It's just an option.
Little demons. Chickens are good though. And eggs. I mean, I eat mostly eggs.
So Laura's parents, their neighbor has a goat, and like we'll always like get drunk and mess with the goat.
Goats are weird.
Yeah, they're freaky. Their eyes are scary. Anyway, the point that I started with was that Josh does not shop at Walmart in any capacity. He's good at just shutting things down, boycotting them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess I'm okay at that. I'm not going to act like I'm amazing at it.
Yeah, I mean, like Nestle, have you ever tried to like stop consuming Nestle products?
I mean,
they're like the most evil corporation from what I know.
At this point, they're all the same company. So I stopped really focusing on, because I still shop at Kroger, which is just as bad as Walmart in a way. So it's like, it's not really, Walmart, I hate Walmart, like going into Walmart.
The whole atmosphere and
being
vibe,
in there sucks. And I also don't want to, like, if I don't want to be in there, then why am I even shopping there? Because I already hate what they stand for. At least at Kroger, like, the experience isn't dreadful. I guess that's my point. I mean, I'm definitely not like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that if everybody did that, because that's the only way you can really protest things now is by not giving it your money.
It's true.
But even then, like, sometimes things will stick around and you're like, nobody goes there or nobody's giving that thing money.
And why is it still around?
It's because it's being funded by somebody that has more money than you could even possibly dream of.
That's true, dude. Like I feel like I don't control anything other than my own self. That's why I try to stay out of like a lot of political conversations, is because I'm not in control of anything but my own front yard. You know? At
the end of the day, yeah, like, no, even if you know all this stuff, like, it doesn't really help me.
I'm not even in control of my own front yard. If the government wanted, they could just be like, yeah, we need it.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I guess just do what you can to. I guess the biggest thing is like kids, right? I mean, kids are coming into this world, and it's like, fuck, in like 20 years.
Dude, kids are screwed. Like, I think psychologically, kids are like fucked now. Like, what are we gonna do, man? Like, I'm gonna do the best I can with my.
Well, psychologically, we're fucked. So what are the kids gonna do?
Yeah,
everybody's like addicted to the internet, or like in some capacity.
My brother and sister-in-law are they're Gen Z kids. They're like 17 and 18, I think. One of them just turned 18. Actually, both, 17 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of lost, dude. It seems like their entire generation is lost. Like, I've met some of their friends and stuff, and they don't, like, a lot of them don't know what they're gonna do. They're not, their idea of success is like starting a stream or
becoming a YouTuber,
like making quick money doing giveaways or reaction videos. Or
I mean, that probably is the best way to make money these days.
I mean, it'd be awesome to do that, but I disagree with that. It's like, well, it's definitely not the fastest.
No, but if you can do it, man, it's like,
I think in this consumer culture, probably the best way is like, you've seen Gary Vee, right? Like that he's see, dude, like I say these names and stuff like I would just expect you to know who these people are, but it's because I'm getting fed content constantly, and
Yeah,
I'm
I
in
don't
my
actually
own
know.
personal echo
I don't know
chamber.
names very well.
Yeah, well, he's like big into finance. He's got YouTube videos and stuff.
Like the only thing
he talks like this. He's like very like intense.
I've probably seen him. I just don't know his name. I don't know. Dude, I only really like I watch like Game Grumps.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Like I don't really consume other media. I don't even watch like Netflix or anything like that because I don't know. I don't really have any desire to. So like I'll just have like YouTube videos on in the background while I work on music or something. But like for the most part, I don't really.
You don't pay attention to that.
I don't know who's famous now. I know there's like an Alex Jones thing going on, and I don't really pay attention to it. Ian's was watching it, and he has theories about why we're seeing all these court cases. Because have you noticed that? Like it started with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And now it's Alex Jones. And I think Ian's theory is that they're prepping us to get ready for the big Donald Trump case. They're getting us used to it.
Getting us used to paying attention to court cases.
Yeah.
But there have always been like court cases in the news, right? Like.
Yeah, but this is way different. The start like the Johnny Depp one was the biggest. Because what was before that? Can you think of a big court case of a celebrity before Johnny Depp? That was like all over Reddit.
Yeah, didn't like R. Kelly just finally get arrested or something?
Isn't that like a 20-year-old case?
No, but they found out that he was keeping women in a dungeon or something.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I believe it.
He was like going to other countries and like telling these women that he could bring them back to America, and then he would bring them back here and enslave them in his little sex dungeon.
I don't know. I didn't.
You know, okay, so it might not be R. Kelly. So I'm pretty sure it's R. Kelly, but I'm going to have to Google this afterwards. So if any of the 6 of you who might watch this hear that, double check me, fact check me. Cause
don't fact check me because I'm probably wrong about everything. So
I feel like it's R. Kelly, but I'll have to Google that later just to be sure. And then if you guys up my subscriber count, maybe I can get a guy in here who can fact check me on the clock. And it's like,
yeah, that's a good idea.
But yeah, anyway, R. Kelly I think would be a big one recently.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I guess
it wasn't in everyone's echo chamber.
Yeah, because it's like the Johnny Depp case was if you had like the news feed on Google, it was on that. If you get on Reddit, it was on that. If on 4chan, it was on that. YouTube, it was on that. It's everywhere, right? Everybody's movie. That's the way Ian put it. Everybody's movie merged. It's like everybody's watching their own Marvel movie.
Yeah, that's
MCU merged.
Similar line of thought. It's like I think we all have our own echo chamber that the algorithm feeds us.
But then every once in a while, one thing will break through
converge,
into everybody's. Yeah. And right now, it's court cases. It was the Johnny Depp one, and then the Alex Jones one. And the Alex Jones one is defamation. That's the biggest. Both of them are defamation. They were both defamation cases.
Yeah,
right?
I guess that's true.
So they're getting us ready for the big Donald Trump defamation case. And we'll see. We'll see if that's true. If that is true, then Ian must be like some kind of like, he must be able to see into the future or something.
Correlation savant. Like he's able to find correlation.
Yeah. He's as good at predicting the future as he is at cooking. So, which would be a really big compliment. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like some of the stuff I'm not gonna say out here about what Ian believes, but some of it I'm a little skeptical of.
Who knows? Maybe one day I'll have him on here. Hey guys, Scarlett decided to join us, and I think that's a sign that this thing is coming to a close. But Josh, thank you for joining the podcast.
Yeah, it was awesome. I'll do it again too if you ever want to have me back.
That's awesome. So who knows? Maybe one day we'll own more than 2 microphones.
If your 5 subscribers, 6 subscribers hate me though, then this will be the last one. Well, actually, if they hate me, they want to hate watch. So maybe I'll be a good.
So maybe we need Ian on here.
Ian would be great.
Well, I'll bring the setup over to your.
If you want to know more about some of the stuff I brought up, Ian is he's the guy to talk about that stuff.
I think we'll have a couple more lighthearted podcasts. No.
Ian would be great. He might be the one that makes you go viral too.
Yeah. Actually, that could be
true.
People
would love to hate watch him
for sure.
All right. Yeah. Anyway.
And that is all. Thank you guys.